Não sei dizer, tudo é novo pra mim. Meu coração se renova. Sinto a esperança invadir o meu ser. Quero ser manso, ser limpo, ser justo e pobre de espírito ser. Tua palavra
Saudações,
Greetings, evangelizers of the
Deus tem
world.
estradas onde o
God
mundo não
has
tem
roads
vias.
where the world has no
Sejamos
ways.
todos bem-vindos
That
ao primeiro
you are
encontro
welcome to the
para amigos
first
de Jesus
world
Cristo
meeting of
com Chico
Jesus
Xavier,
Friends with
no
Chico Xavier
Afeganistão
and
Espírita,
his
e o 14º
Spirit
encontro dos
Christianity
amigos do Chico Xavier.
Christianity
Hoje
work and
temos
another
nossos
meeting of Chico
companheiros
Xavier
de sua
friends. We have
essência que vai nos
our
presidir
fellow
neste
Sônia
tempo
Barsante
do
who's going to
Evangelho da
be
Vida, e nós
gifting us
vamos
with
ouvir Chico Xavier.
the word
Sônia
present,
Barsante é
presenting
natural
us
de
with
Minas Gerais. Seus
talking
pais,
about
cristianistas
Chico
desde
Xavier.
nascença. Sua
She
mãe,
is
Silvia
from Minas Gerais.
Barsante,
Her mom, Sylvia Barsante,
ela frequentou o
is
Centro Espírita
from
Caminheiros do Bem de
she
Araçatuba.
she she
Casou-se em 12 de setembro
she
de
attended the Spirit Center
1869
Caminheiros
com
do Bem
devoto
Araxá. He
desejo
got married
onde
in
Chico Xavier
December
era
7th,
líder e pregador.
69. Chico Xavier
Ambos,
was
além
his
disso,
godfather, their
frequentaram a
godfather.
comunhão
They
espírita
were
cristã
friends
até o ano em
of
que Chico
Chico and they
frequentou a
attended the
mesma
Christian
paroquial,
Spiritist
onde
communion
eles também
until
permanecem
the year that
como
Chico joined the group
comentaristas do
Spirita da
Evangelho.
Prece, where he remained
Agradecemos aos
in the
intérpretes
Gospel
presentes
comments.
nessa
We
noite,
thank the
especialmente
interpreters Felipe
Clarissa
Santos and
Tadeu.
Clarissa Tadeu.
Estendemos os nossos
We
agradecimentos
also
às
would like
equipes
to thank
técnicas de
the
todos os países
technical
que estão
teams
ajudando a
from all
divulgar
the countries that are
divulgação
helping
deste
us
evento maravilhoso.
divulgate,
São eles:
divulgating this event.
Portugal,
They are
Lituânia,
from Portugal,
Romênia,
Lithuania,
Inglaterra,
Romania,
Estados
England,
Unidos,
US,
Holanda, Suíça,
Ireland,
Alemanha e
Switzerland,
Uruguai.
Germany, and Uruguay.
Agradecemos também à
Thank
equipe
you
técnica
also for the
da Rádio
technical
Espírita na
team
pessoa
for the
de
radio
Rodrigo
spirit in
Costa
Pessoa
e
from
Lúcio Silva.
Rodrigo Costa and Lucio Silva.
Vamos passando
We
esse
would
instante para iniciarmos
spend this time to start
esta preleção maravilhosa de Sônia Barsante,
this wonderful time with
fazendo
Sonia
a nossa
Barsanti,
saudação
having our
católicos.
so
Pai
the
nosso que
greeting
estás
with
nos céus,
the
santificado
prayer.
seja o vosso nome. Venha a nós o vosso reino.
Our Father who art in
Seja feita a
heaven,
vossa
hallowed by the
vontade,
name, the
assim
kingdom
na
come.
terra como no
The will
céu.
be done on
O
earth
pão
as
nosso
it
de
is in
cada dia
heaven.
nos dai
Give
hoje.
us this day
Perdoai
our
as nossas
daily bread,
ofensas,
and
assim
forgive
como
us our
perdoamos a quem nos
trespasses,
tem
as we
ofendido.
forgive those who
Não nos
trespass
deixeis
against
cair em
us. And
tentações,
lead us
mas
not into
livrai-nos de
temptation,
todo mal.
but deliver us
Amém,
from
amém,
evil.
amém.
Amen, amen, and
Sônia
amen.
Barsante, nossa querida
Sonia
amiga,
Bersant,
seja
our
bem-vinda e
friend
a
and
palavra é sua. Que Deus te
sister,
abençoe.
welcome, and you have the word. God bless you.
Pode falar. Boa noite.
Good evening.
Com muita alegria
I'm really
e
happy
gratidão
and very
àqueles que
grateful
nos
to
convidaram
those who
para
invited
podermos
us to be able
participar
to participate
deste
in
evento
this
que nós
this
consideramos
event that we
de extrema
consider
importância.
extremely important,
Estes momentos
and these moments that
tão
are so
difíceis que
difficult
estamos
that
vivenciando
we have been
na nossa
living in
humanidade,
our
mas
humanity,
acima de tudo,
but
com uma
beyond
alegria
everything, with
de
such
podermos
a
falar
joy that
da
we
nossa
can
amada
speak
doutrina
about our
espírita cristã,
loved
do nosso
Christian
amado
spirit
Francisco Cândido
doctrine,
Xavier,
our
que é
beloved
o maior
Francisco Cândido Xavier,
porta-voz de
which is
Jesus
one of
que
the biggest
retornou
apostles
à
of Jesus,
Terra
who
para dar
returned to earth to
continuidade
give
às suas
continuity to
ações.
his mission as Allan
Para
Kardec.
nós,
For
significa
us, it means
uma euforia muito
such a
íntima
joy, a very intimate
assistir
joy.
estivemos
Once that
alguns
we,
anos com
some
ele,
years we
embora
spent
não
with him, but
mereçamos estas
however, we
oportunidades,
don't deserve these
a
opportunities. But yes, the
misericórdia
mercy,
que nos
divine
deu
mercy
estes
that
tempos
gave
que
us
nós
these temples that
consideramos de
we
extrema
consider
importância
extremely important
para a nosso
for
aprendizado.
our
Nós
learning.
achamos que
We
realmente
think that
o que
really
nós mais necessitamos é do
what we
Evangelho.
need the most
A
is the
Terra
gospel.
já
The
alcançou
earth has
o
already reached
intelectualismo,
the
a evolução
intellectual, the in
intelectual.
the knowledge, its
No
evolution in
Mas
high
como
levels.
Kardec mesmo nos
But as Allan
assinalava,
Kardec
para
showed
chegarmos
us, for us to be able to
concretizar
reach
uma
what is
civilização,
considered a
conforme
civilization,
explica,
with the as the
nós
name explains, we need to grow in the moral part. And in this moral evolution, it's only possible through exercising the gospel. So we have, and we need to seek to try to talk more briefly of this evolution issue, the thinking evolution, our evolution through the times to get to get to our Chico Xavier. We will remember what Jesus said. So passing here our first slide, please. We need to remember what said, what is in Jesus' words. Do not think that I have come to do away with the law of Moses and the teachings of the prophets. I have not come to do away with them, but to make their teachings come true. Remember that as long as heaven and earth last, not the last point nor the smallest detail of the law will be done away with, not until the end of all things. Jesus brings the second revelation, is the love law, and he presents himself saying that he did not come to destroy the first, which represents the prophets' laws, which is the first law that Moses brought us with the Ten Commandments. And he was already starting the second part of his mission in earth once he was since the first things, because he was co-creator in the of the earth, as they showed us, which the spirits tell us, and he was already telling us with all the letters, all the words that he was he was going to be with us, and that the heaven and the earth would not pass until everything is done. It means we now are exactly in that this moment, so important moments for everyone to contribute to the, the regeneration world, which is already foreseen with trusting our master, because he is saying that he will be with us until the end of the times. And in the next slide, we will see, even in the other slide, a Christ, also with Allan Kardec, with the second gospel spiritist, which continues what Jesus presented to us, which is the earth. We won't be able to reach to what is necessary. It won't pass, in fact. And we had this spiritism, which is the counselor, which came with Jesus, which was the third revelation of God to people. And this third revelation said by Jesus, when he said he was going to send us the counselor, and he was promised. So the name that Jesus gives us mean for all of us that the concern, the love to the next, charity, the humbleness would really be important inside Jesus' gospel to humanity to be transformed. So Jesus Christ said he started the most pure moral, the most noble moral, which represents for all of us this moment that should renew the world and take the world to get closer to the human hearts and the charity of love to the others. What a moral that should transform the earth, do it the house of superior spirits to those who inhabit. It's the law of progress to which nature is subject, which is fulfilled with Moses, starting with Moses, and even before we know that the process of progress is spiritual, of liberation of our things and creativity, obviously happens for many years. And this left, it shows us that God serves himself to elevate humanity. You please go ahead to the next slide. We are going to see now, even in the gospel, what we know that was launched in April 1864, and talks about the aspect, the religious aspect of the doctrine. The Spiritism seats on the scientific, philosophical, and religious aspect, but we will observe that the religious aspects, as Emmanuel shows us, the counselor, through the words, these medianic words, is really the most important aspect because it's based on the gospel. It's based on the moral questions, on our transformation that for us to reach perfection and improve ourselves, we really need to follow the gospel of our master. The only master in humanity is Jesus. Everything in this moment which is out of Jesus and the gospel's principles, they are not real, they're not true, and they're not going to help us in our transformation, moral transformation. So there, Kardec makes it very clear this work is for everybody. Everyone can take from it the means of conform his conduct and the morals of Christ. So it is there for all of us. Please, next slide. We see that the Old Testament, according Emmanuel teaches us, is the base of divine revelation. The gospel is the building of the redemption of souls. As such, the lesson of Jesus should be sought, no longer for any theoretical exposition, but aiming each disciple to improve himself, unfolding the buildings of the divine master in the definitive terrain of the spirit. So this is the important moment for us in earth, on earth, especially for us Christian spirits here, spiritists here, because the needed lesson of Jesus was to run away, not only being the theoretical exposition, because we have more than 2,000 years of Christ on earth. So theoretical in the Occidental world, we knew Jesus, but then we have the biggest mission of from Kardec and with Chico, and who was here with us not so long a time ago, and teach us to leave this terrain of the only theoretical explanation because it goes to practices, which is the most important. And we will understand that gospel is the son of immortality, reflects with wisdom for the current world. So it's very clear for us the mission of the gospel, which is the spiritism reflects. They revive the Christianity on earth, which will teach us how we should understand the gospel and its importance. And in the books, the basic books of Allan Kardec, we can see the true spirit, the spirit of true, and all the spirits that belong to the Christic experience planet with Allan Kardec, bringing us the gospel again with its purity and with its simpleness. And it should be revived later with also our Chico Xavier. Next, please.
The gospel is the divine work. So as long as it remains the blindness of vanity and ignorance, it does not expose its sacred treasures to us. So it's very deep the way André Luiz tells us in this book. So it's also with Chico Xavier. It's a divine book. As we grow in knowledge, in love, and being able to understand what the others feel, we leave this blindness and ignorance, and we understand what gospel is. That's the divine treasure that must be born in our hearts. Otherwise, our knowledge will not be the same, and we will not be able to understand what Christ has taught us. So that's the need of the divine, like to have the principles. That's again we see in the gospel, but we have to exemplify things in this meaning that we've been talking here. We realize how big Chico Xavier's mission was. So then in the book Spiritistevent, we thought this message that is wonderful by Paulo Estevam, that really brings, it's a work, that it's something very big, something that represents a history for all of us, as it was, as Christianity was done. And this comparison that Paulo has here, we consider it's something very beautiful. And I compare the gospel to an infinite field, which the Lord has given us to cultivate. Some workers must stay at the foot of the springs, guarding their purity. Others revolve the earth in specific areas. But there is no need to dispense with the cooperation of those who need to wield crude instruments, undo intense vines, cut thorns to lighten the paths. So here we have the work for everyone, each spirit inside its dimension and life understanding. At the moment of the spiritism, it's being invited, because we are invited to be in this party called Festin, which is the gospel of Christ. So we can participate and understand this big party that Jesus offers to us here on earth. So next, please. Spiritism will be therefore indisputably the strength of Christianity in action to rebuild the human soul and sublimate life. So there in the other book, Roteiro, called Roteiro, we see that this strength that comes from the Spiritism has its mission, because the Comforter has the goal to elevate our human soul. So the region of Cruzeiro, where the epic of my gospel will take place, will above all be eternally linked to my heart. So now we will see the part of the gospel here in Brazil. So now we go from France to Brazil. So we see in Brazil here, as part of the gospel, a book of Humberto de Campos, where we see the mission of Brazil to predict it from the beginning when we were found. We have in another book that Jesus says that in this region of Cruzeiro, it will be done again, the gospel, and it will be linked
Link.
eternally to my heart. So we can't lose faith. We can't lose this work inside the spiritism with Christ, like with love, charity, benevolence, compassion, forgiveness, because that's what Chico did during his whole life, because he was the personified gospel here. So this earth is linked forever to the heart of Jesus. We cannot forget it. So next here we see that we have just some things here as we talk up, as we are speaking of the gospel in life, in Chico's works and in his life, we see that. So when we talk about the feminism today, about women in general, we think that is very important that it's in another book, Pão Nosso, because he says that with Jesus it began legitimate feminism, not the one that fill your hands. We cannot forget it. We have to live in this world and support what the world asks us to do, but we can't belong to the world. We have to live here without being there. Like we don't belong to the world. Not the one that fill your hands with its exhibitors, with colorful banners of the political ideologies of the world, but which it traces superior and sanctifying directives in their hearts, which is something very important that we can never forget. And in the next one, that Chico says in this book, Trilha de Luz, the gathering of companions of ideal and struggle has been a fundamental feature of the gospel, but we have to do it in a very benevolent way, something very fraternal, because as I said, the gathering of the companions of idea and the struggle has always been a fundamental feature here, because they got together in a very loving way, in a very fraternal way. Of course, there were different opinions, as it happened with Paulo, because of some issues that he had, as it is shown here in this book. The spirit of fraternity, of love and union was much stronger, and that's what Emmanuel tells us, calls our attention to that. We are going to see another thing here at this moment, but about the works of Chico Xavier and also Allan Kardec. So Chico Xavier is the missionary of love, because it associates to the gospel from end to end and confirming the Christ. Everything will pass except my words. So my brothers, so here at this moment where we have this responsibility, we will see here in the other slide the acting, the performance of Chico Xavier's life in many fields here on earth. So you can go to the next slide, please. So there are many moments here in his life here. The author of this book highlights many moments of his life, and here we have some examples through his works and everything that we have seen so far. And here there are the examples of his life. So if we had to list everything that Chico Xavier has done here on earth in all time
Every
of
moment.
his life, it wouldn't be possible. For example, the cult of gospel that was done under an avocado tree, many wonderful lessons that were given there, that some brothers would write, say, but the conduct, the way that he acted, the fraternal hug that he gave to the one that was in line waiting for some bread, as he said, they are patient to wait for us so then we can give something to them. So he would highlight that it wasn't us that were there doing the gospel for like 14 minutes, but it was more important to the people that were there, the ones that were in line waiting. They had the patience to wait for us, because then there was, afterward, there was the distribution of what Chico had received from other people, money distribution, like everything was distributed. So these are lessons of the true Christianity. It was done, it was the most important thing done in a very simple way. And here, going to the next one, we are going to talk about the party, because it was a real party. The launch of the books that were sold in this party, waiting for the presence of Chico Xavier, it was really a real party. That was the most appropriate name for that, because we were seeing the real spiritism, because he, like, for him gospel was above everything, because he would talk to everyone, and the book was his great mission here on the earth, because that's the book was something very important. He cured lots of people, so everyone that went to him, he cured somehow. He didn't want to be outstanding, but many people would come back and say, okay, the moment that I was here with you, I'm fine now. I don't have anything anymore. I didn't have that headache anymore. So each one would report what he had done. And so here, speaking quickly, we have the trips abroad that were planned, because he would take this mission to other countries, to Europe, and then also taking the message of the comforter, the spiritism to other countries. He had a very special attention to kids. He really loved the kids. He would stop when there was a mother with a child. He would stop. He would like stare at that child. He would kiss, because he would say that the reincarnation is very important. So he thought that a child was something that we should always elevate in any honor, in any condition. So once a mother came up with a child, and the child was autist, and she said, Chico, I don't know what to do anymore. I pray, I've been to many doctors, I don't know what to do anymore. And then that was a mother in grief. And then Chico looked at her and said, my daughter, just love, but love a lot, because only love can
pensar em permanecer na Terra.
cure.
E ele
Only
dizia
love
que o
will
amor
be
das
here
mães
on earth. And he would
levava-se
say that mother's
compaixão
love
àquela criança,
was
porque ela não
the
queria
support
reencarnar.
for
Ela
that
não
kid
desejava,
because that
mas
child
quando
didn't want to
ele faria
reincarnate.
com que
But
ela
love would
permanecesse aqui
change
na Terra.
that and would
E
make
ainda
her
sobre
him
essas
stay here
questões que nós
on earth.
não temos
And about
a
those
condição de
issues,
tempo para
we
falar
don't
sobre
have
isso,
time
e
to
todos nós
speak
falando, mas
about all of them,
resumindo,
but
nós vamos só
briefly,
aqui ler
we
a
can
questão
we
dos
will
títulos de
only
cidadania,
talk
porque
about
eles
the
podem,
citizenship
se
titles.
pudesse reunir todos
So
os
if we
títulos de
could get
cidadania
together
num
all
livro,
kinds of
eu acredito
citizenships
que
in
isso
only one
poderá ser
book,
feito, o
maybe
Chico
it can be done
praticamente
someday.
reescrevia quase a
Chico,
história da cidade,
like
porque
he
ele falava
he
nomes de
wrote,
pessoas,
like
fundadores,
for example,
colaboradores,
almost a city,
movimentos
because he would
sociais,
mention names
que
of
ali
people,
estiveram,
workers,
né, construindo
everyone that
aquela
has
sociedade
had been
revolucionária,
there,
e ele
people that
falava de uma
had
coisa
built
extraordinária.
that city in a
Ele
very
tinha um carinho muito
extraordinary way.
especial com os jovens,
He
que devia
liked
ser o
it
futuro,
like the
não é?
adolescents because he said
Dizendo que
that
nós
they were the
deveríamos nas
future,
casas espíritas
and he said
oferecer
that in the
todos os
spirit
recursos
houses we
permissórios
should
que nós
offer
pudássemos
all the resources to
precisar
these young
para o
people so
filho
that they could
estudar e
study,
trabalhar
work,
no campo da
study and
assistência
work
fraterna,
in this
que é realmente
fraternal
algo que nós
assistance,
precisamos aprender a
because it's
doar.
something that we
Porque nós
have
ainda não
to learn
sabemos, ele
how
está falando
to
para nós,
give. We don't know how to
especialmente.
do it,
Nós não aprendemos ainda a
but we
doar,
haven't
porque nós
learned
temos
how to
dificuldade de
give.
doar.
We have
Apesar dos
difficulty
mares,
of doing it.
nós temos
Sometimes we
tantos
open our
caminhos,
wardrobe,
mas
we
nós
find some things,
aprendemos
but
que
we are
alguma
very
coisa
attached to
precipar,
those
porque
clothes,
ele
to
não
those
dizia é
shoes.
preciso
And he
doar,
would say,
é
we need
preciso
to
ir para
give.
a
We have
periferia,
to
é
go
preciso
to poor
abraçar as
areas. We have
pessoas.
to
Não é só
embrace
mandar
the ones that
a
suffer.
contribuição
It's not only send the
financeira,
contribute, like
é preciso
financial
ver
contribution.
como
We
eles
have to
vivem,
see
as
how they
dificuldades que
live,
eles
the
enfrentam.
difficulties that
Nós
they
também não
face.
podemos
They are our
amanhã pode ser
brothers.
nós.
Tomorrow it
Mesmo
can be
assim, amanhã
us.
nós não podemos
So
estar na mesma
maybe
situação.
tomorrow
Quem
we
sabe
will
um
be in the
pai,
same
uma mãe, um irmão
situation, a
nosso,
father, a mother, a
que tivesse a
brother,
nossa,
someone, a loved
de
one
outras vidas que nós
from
não
other
conhecemos, que
lives
talvez
that we haven't
não tenha
met,
mais
that
perto de nós,
can be in the same
quantas
situation
histórias
that we
eles
don't know. There are
viveram.
many
E
stories
eles
close
tinham
to
um
us.
relacionamento com a
And
imprensa de
they
muito
have
respeito,
the
mas também
relationship with the
uma
press of a
grande
respect and
intenção
many
espiritual,
care,
porque ele
because he
falasse,
knew
né,
that everything he would
aquele
say
imenso
with
discernimento que
this
ele tinha,
that knowledge,
era
that
para
wisdom he had
colocar
would be
para
put
todos,
there
e
for
ele
everyone. And
realmente
he
dizia da
really
importância
would
também da
say of the
divulgação.
importance of the
E os
disclosure
direitos autorais
and
integralmente entregues,
some
né,
full things
entregues
that he
para a
delivered were
editora. Então,
delivered
Chico
for
nunca recebeu
publishers. So Chico has never
absolutamente
received
nada
anything
pelos livros
for
editados,
the books
nada.
that were
E
published
ele
and
fazia
added.
questão, né, de
And
passar
he really
cartões para
wanted
os
to
irmãos
go
japoneses, às
to the
editoras,
offices
os
and
que
publishers and all the
trabalhavam
publishers
com
who
a
collaborate
opinião
with
dos
them.
irmãos. Essa é a
So,
parte
my brothers,
que
that's
nós
the
lembramos
part
aqui
that we
também
remember
da
also
vida
of
do nosso
the
Chico.
life of
No
our
nosso
Chico.
próximo slide,
In our
nós
next
vamos ter
slide,
aqui
we will
algumas
see
considerações
some
que
of the
o Chico
considerations that
falava,
Chico would
a
say,
sua
was used to
influência,
say,
o seu
his
amor
influence,
maior
his
ainda
love
de nós
in
todos era
in
muito
our
maior,
lives
porque o
was
Chico,
enormous because
nós não
Chico,
sabemos analisar a sua
we we
estatura moral na
we don't
realidade.
know how to
Nós
analyze
não
his moral
podemos
stature
dizer
because we
realmente
can't say
quem
really,
é
we can't
de
really say
verdade Chico
in fact
Xavier,
who
o
was
seu
Chico
espírito,
Xavier,
a dimensão do
the
espírito
spirit,
dele,
the
o espírito
dimension
que
of his
está há
spirit,
tantos
which
décadas
is
ali auxiliando,
many
ministrando o
time,
melhor
many
de
time
Cristo na Terra.
helping
E além do
putting
mais,
Christ's works on
vamos
earth.
ver
And beyond that, we will
o como
see
ele tinha cuidado com a
how he would
educação,
care
a
with
educação
for
das crianças
education,
e dos
the
jovens.
child,
Ele tinha um
children's and
carinho muito
adolescents
especial por isso.
education.
É bom
He
nós
really
entendermos,
cared
porque ele disse
for
que a
this. We need to
formação
understand because
do
he said
espírito, a
the
educação para a sua
spirit
transformação
the
tem
transformation needed to start in the children. Many would be there in the groups and say, Chico, I need to understand how we are going to do this youth movements, how we have a study group of this or that way. And he would say, start with the kids, with the child. The child's spiritism is very good because in the child we have in this evangelization is the real spiritual formation in the childhood in front of the future because all of the next problems are related to the lack of God, to lack of Jesus. And he would say, if I had kids here on earth, I would teach them two things, two important things and necessary for them. First one, love God. And second, work. Always work for others, which are the two critical the two critical things for our spiritual transformation in our children. In the other slide, we see him also calling our attention against the question of the obsessors on earth in this book, A Terra do Semeador, which was what was written for Márcio Arantes. And we see that he said we think it's important to remember this today. We are facing a very difficult time, many difficulties in this pla- plan planet transformation. Our dear Emmanuel, he says, got me used to two methods of gradual liberation. The first is prayer, by which we remember God, for us to remember God through the prayer. And the second is service, by which we forget ourselves. There was once a lady came to him and said he couldn't bear because uh, she was being persecuted and too many people and our brothers were trying to get her and they were bringing some panic and difficulties and he said, my daughter, work in the activities in your center, work in the activities, see the tasks you can do, just be there, work until you get exhausted because they will need to follow you and they won't be able, or they will be doctrined, or they will leave you because they won't be able to follow you in all the activities, which is also the way of us to be free of the brothers who want to take us to a wrong way, but we have time because we are with them. And also going heading to the end of our speech, Chico says of an extraordinary way about the family in these issues that are organized here. It's in the book A Terra e o Semeador. And we see that it's so current that it needs to be studied and passed to our parents, in our family, in our spirits' houses, in our meetings, and everything, because family nowadays becomes the main point to us. We see many times the lack of being given the moral values of gospel and even of our conduct inside the family. So he said that times some years ago, it has almost 30 years. He says the family needs to open up new avenues of understanding so that its members can live in a regime of mutual respect. With the problems they carry, we need to respect each other. We can't say, oh, you are this, you are that, you think this way, because without the aggression that so often occurs against creatures that suffer distressing problems within the different psychological constitution of the family. what different from the majority, which is what are the positions, and there's a way of facing the form, the way they present themselves. With this psychological constitution different, they need to be caught, they need to be loved, they need to see understood, and we do everything possible to help. And he also said that life is a gift from God, and we must to improve more and more, valuing it for its usefulness that we can have in favor of others. It means we need to improve to be able to learn, also learn and teach, to pass something good for others, right? And for the acquisition of knowledge or worthy resources that makes us more and more useful, for us to help, for us not to be lazy, not to change, afraid of working, afraid of being offended. And there are people who are afraid of people not grateful. I'm not going to work because people are not grateful. There's too much difficulties. And Jesus, when he was teaching us among the people, he wasn't worried with gratitude if they understood or not, their spiritual level. We just embraced. He brought them together. He gave them all the resources to improve. He didn't he wasn't with the bad, the evil. He wasn't there patting the evil, let's say that way. But he brought together and he strengthened for us to stand up. And Chico also did this his whole life. Let's go to the next slide. And closing up, he said that we need to recognize that all human beings carry a high degree of dangerousness with them, and we bring in our utter this degrees, and the only thing in the world that can stop the the human dangerousness is without a shadow of doubt religion. It is the religion that represents that Jesus on earth brought love and charity, represents everything we need to live. Next slide, please. Spiritual benefactors, that spiritism is always the same, whether in Brazil or abroad. However, they emphasize it. This is for us. It's our responsibility, and the big responsibility that the Brazilian spiritists have received the particular task of proving that spiritism is the Christianity itself in its clear and simple form back to earthly humanity. It means Spiritism has its mission of for us to bring this way, more clear way, more simple way, according to what Jesus brought to us on earth. And we would like to, in the next slide, we have only two more. We have the a picture of Chico here. We have in this moment to take our thank and our gratitude to him, because Chico was in the soul, we put in the soul of the people the collective mission in a spiritual order for everybody to be mirroring in us, which tells us very clearly our Toque Jacinto. And he says in the dark spiritual darkness that we were, he took us out. Something was from many centuries ago teaching us to see Christ in the gospel, that we need to discover the treasure.
And with him, he says, but who am I if not an ant? One of the smallest that roams the earth fulfilling its obligations. So that's how Chico was. That's the humbleness, the love, the the mark that he left here to us. So here there is one more, please. So here, just wrapping up, he says, I accept the world and man as they are, and I remain myself. So we have to do our parts as we have been, trying to improve, and then try to fix what, like our mistakes, and we have to take our thoughts to our brothers and sisters that we have to say that Chico with his life that he had represents a light in our lives. That's the responsibility that we have, that we bring here today. And we still have to remember that the medium hasn't slept. When he was awake and the light was on without being off at any time of his life, in all the meanings, because of the gospel and the action that are associated to those virtues, because he was an inter-existing man. So God bless you. So peace and light to Chico. That's the way he said, honor and glory to the greatest server of Jesus. So thank you.
Sônia, muito obrigado, né, pela
Thank you, Sonia,
a sua fala, né,
for our speech, for your speech. So Lucio was here and we were thrilled
sentindo essa energia
and
do Chico, né?
feeling the energy of Chico, because you
que
lived with him for a while, and we know that you were there by his side for such a long time.
e por isso
So that's why I would like,
não é de praxe aqui no evento, a gente
so we
não
don't do that
feito
here. We
durante o
haven't
evento,
done that
mas um
during the
ouvinte
event,
nosso,
but there is a listener
mandou uma
here
pergunta, tá?
that has sent us a question, and I
já
think
respondeu essa pergunta, que
you
foi
you have already
antes da gente
answered
começar,
probably,
basicamente a mesma, mas
but I asked you a question
diferente, né?
before the event.
E eu acho
It's
que vale
not
a pena a gente
exactly
fazer,
the
porque existem
same, but I
pessoas
think
que
it's
são um pouco
worth
apreensivas com essa questão,
asking you this question,
né?
because there are many
Mas eu
people
acho que é
that want
interessante,
to
muito
know
boa a pergunta dela,
about
por
it.
isso eu já pedi
It's
para
a
ela
very
terminar de lá.
interesting
Ela é uma
question. She
ouvinte
doesn't
assídua
want,
aqui do nosso
she's
evento,
a listener here,
ela fala
but
sobre
I'm not going
sabemos
to
da
mention
sua
her
ligação
name.
com
So
Chico,
as
especial
you're
com o
very
grupo Espírita
connected with
Express. Hoje, fechada a
Chico, so
autodeterminação
today
indígena,
closed,
né? Abre aspas,
as
filhos,
it's
filhos
closed,
do
there is a
coração do Chico, fecha
quotation,
aspas.
sons of the
Como você
heart of
sente,
Chico. How do you
como
feel?
você se sente com um grupo espírita fechado? Isso
How
seria
do you
vontade do Chico?
how do you feel in this closed spirit group? Is that what Chico wanted? Is that his desire? So it's a question that we can say there are many times in our life that there are some things that go, it's like we don't understand, and sometimes we don't learn it right away. But I really believe that all the changes, the spirituality hasn't left us orphan. We are always there trying to understand, but as we don't have this deeper understanding about the things that have happened, I'm sure that whatever is necessary, whatever is better, will happen to everyone. So the center, this center is working at the Casas Esperanças house because this our friend took all the conditions so that we couldn't stop the works, So we have the works there. We have works on Monday, Tuesday, Thursdays, Fridays. They are happening. We go there, we participate, especially on Fridays. That's the day that we have with Chico Xavier. We have our brothers that work in other things. There is the fraternal assistance work that has been done. Also, there is the youth meeting with the kids. So we would like to say to our brothers that the works have been on. There was the change of the place from one place to another, but we are sure that maybe in the future, our group will also continue within the spirituality shows us. So what we need to do now is to work on the new tasks that come up during our journey. So these are times for change, but it doesn't mean that we haven't been working. And we have been with Chico Xavier, with his like so, but let's wait and just thank you for the question that you have asked, because it clarifies too many. But I would like to ask our brothers that have been listening to us, let's pray, because it's a time that we really need to testify our commitment to the gospel, to the doctrine, and also to Chico as he did during his whole life. We have to trust in God. We have to have faith. We need to believe that everything will happen. Thank you. So thank you for the answer. So, Carlinhos, I would like to thank to all people that are in the gospel world, that as you like disclose this work, so because it always brings comfort and to people that are lost here in this world, people that have faced lots of problems. We are going to thank to the interpreters that were the simultaneous translator, Felipe Santos and Clarissa Tadeu. We also would like to thank the technical team that has helped us here with the disclosure of this event, and also thank the radio, to the radio, Rodrigo Costa, and we will also thank, and then we will give to you the agenda of the event that will take place tomorrow, October 9th at 2. We will have Noemia Maria José, that we will talk about the primitive Christianism, and then we will have the musical gospel of Chico Xavier with Sérgio Santos and Marlene. And on Sunday at 3, on the 10th, we will have our brother Caio Barcelli that will talk about the Comforter, and will close the event. We also to thank again your presence here, and we will give the floor again to Rodrigo, so he will show the library, and then we just close with a prayer. So thank you, Carlinhos. So I would like to invite all of you, everyone that is there on the website. So everybody now is digital. So I would like to invite you to access the website Chico Xavier, amigos do chicoxavier.org. So now you will see. So here we have the website. So you go to Amigos de Chico Xavier. So then you have the library of the event. So that's a distributor that has also sponsored us. There are lots of books and messages, more than 73 like codifications, like biographies. So you can acquire, you can have them here through the links, and all the fund here will be for 2 institutions, one in Pedro Leopoldo and another one in Uberaba. So that's the commitment that Candeia has to all the events, national. So they take the books, they assemble the library, and then all the funds, all the money, they have to just pay the costs, and the 100% of the profit is for the event. And here, as it was online, so we are going to give it to social works. So we invite you to go to the website and then do encontro of chicoxavier.org. So thank you. So Carlinhos, if you can wrap up with the prayer. So we thank you one more time, all the companion, and we are going to finish with a prayer here that was given to Chico Xavier, that is in a book, and then so it's in honor of our Mary. So
as mãos radiosas sobre a angústia das sendas escabrosas, onde choram as mães atormentadas. Mãe de todas as mães infortunadas,
Mother of all the unhappy mothers,
mitigador das almas desditosas,
mitigator of all the souls,
anjo consolador dos desterrados, conforta os corações encarcerados nas algemas do mundo amargo e aflito. Ao teu olhar, as lágrimas da guerra e os quadros de amargor que andam na terra são caminhos de luz para o infinito. Graças a Deus, graças a Deus, graças a Deus. Deus abençoe a todos, queridos
so God
irmãos.
bless you, brothers and sisters, and see you tomorrow. So thank you.
Sentimento me ronda, não sei dizer, tudo é novo pra mim. Meu coração se renova, sinto a esperança invadir. Sentimento me ronda, não sei dizer, tudo é novo pra mim. Meu coração se renova, sinto a esperança invadir o meu ser. Quero ser manso, ser limpo, ser justo e pobre.